Coming up, Mountain News this morning, all 120 counties across the Commonwealth are preparing for a formal recanvassing of Tuesday's election results. And state educators who supported Beshear are expecting swift changes starting at the top if the election results are verified. Plus, 2 people are recovering after an accidental shooting Wednesday night in Whitley County.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 5:30 on November 8th. I'm Madison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. So if you're about to go outside, you want to grab that heavier jacket. It is cold out there today, but let's go to Brandon Robinson. Brandon, you say it's going to get colder throughout the day.
It'll actually stay cold throughout the day. Let's put it that way. Not like yesterday when it did get colder throughout the day as that cold front came through. But as the skies clear this morning, it'll get colder for a little bit, and then temperatures will actually try to go up, but don't expect that. Keep that winter jacket around all day. Maybe a few snowflakes still flying up on top of the higher elevations there across the southern parts of the area near the border, so keep that in mind this morning. We're looking at temperatures anywhere between about 25 in Moorhead to about 34 in Jonesville. That's our range this morning. A lot of folks right there just below freezing or just above it. Weather app forecast, you can download that for free. Not much to track today, just sunshine, but even that sunshine is not going to help us too much as temperatures only top out right around 39 for most. I'll have the rest of that forecast and break down that system we're tracking for next week here in just a little bit. Madison.
Thank you, Brandon. Well, this time next week, the recanvass of Tuesday night's gubernatorial election will be complete. Around 5,000 votes separate Governor Bevin and Governor-elect Andy Beshear. WYMT's Will Puckett caught up with a UK law professor who says this is not unusual for neither man.
This walk off the stage by Governor Bevin signaled the beginning of what could be a long fight.
We are not conceding this race by any stretch. Not a chance.
Both Bevin and Beshear are no strangers to close races.
We've had close elections. We've had elections even closer than this one. Indeed, the last 2 really close elections were when Matt Bevin won the Republican primary in 2015 and when Andy Beshear won the Attorney General's contest in 2015.
Stephen Voss is an associate professor at the University of Kentucky and is not surprised this is playing out the way it is.
This is a fairly straightforward process, mostly electronic. It ought to go pretty quickly, and it's fairly reliable.
Voss says the chances of gaining 5,000 votes are slim.
I mean, if this were a question of what you check with a recount, like some kind of error that's happening on a voter-by-voter level, then yeah, 5,000 seems like a lot.
But as Governor Bevin said, this is a process that he is well within his rights to use.
I'm on the one hand saying it's reasonable for Governor Bevin and the Republicans to at least ask for this check, but at the same time I'm saying the chance that they're going to be happy with the outcome of this is very, very low because the system is pretty solid.
The recanvass is set to begin November 14th. Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
And all 120 counties across the Commonwealth are preparing for that formal recanvassing. Less than 1% of the total votes cast on Tuesday separate Bevin and Governor-elect Andy Beshear. The recanvass will essentially be a check to make sure the numbers reported to the state match those collected at precincts across the state. Clerks say it is a painless process that can wrap up in about an hour.
The machines themselves tell you the numbers, but we follow a protocol. Everything was done correctly, so I don't think it will, but there's always that chance, which is why we have this recanvass.
The only way a recount could happen would be if Governor Bevin filed an election contest and the legislature called for one. And all was quiet on Thursday from the Beshear team. Wednesday, the governor-elect said he planned to spend some time with his family after a hard-fought campaign. We did talk to his staff on Thursday. They told us Beshear did not have any public events scheduled and the transition team was moving forward. And meanwhile, state educators who supported Beshear are expecting swift changes starting at the top if the election results are verified. Even though Beshear argued against it, he could follow a tactic used by Governor Bevin when Bevin issued an executive order to replace another state board. The state Supreme Court said it is legal, so if Beshear does this, the new board could then quickly turn its attention to replacing state school superintendent Wayne Lewis. When it comes to policy, funding for charter schools would almost certainly be a target.
Certainly the Board of Education had a legislative agenda that called for advancing charter schools. We would expect it to be just the opposite based on the position of Governor-elect Beshear, many policy issues.
The spokesman for Kentucky Public Charter Schools Association agrees. He says a new school board would undermine efforts to find permanent funding for charter schools. And now in our latest live web poll, we want to know which Democrat you are most likely to support to take on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell next year. The majority of you overwhelmingly say House Minority Floor Leader Rocky Atkins. Second is someone other than those listed, then Matt Jones, and lastly, Amy McGrath. McGrath is the only one running so far. And the filing window is now open for 2020 Kentucky contestants, and the deadline is in late January. While the nation's eyes will be on President Trump's re-election bid, many in the Bluegrass will keep a close eye on the state House. Republicans flipped the House 3 years ago, and Democrats need to hang on to all of their current seats and flip 6 others to take back the majority. And shoppers scattered as bullets flew inside a busy Kroger store in Louisville last night, ending with the gunman being killed after shooting at police while running out of the store. It happened just after 6 p.m. Louisville police say the shooting started as part of an argument between 2 people in the store's produce section. One person pulled out a knife, the other a gun. In a statement, Kroger says the store is secure but will remain closed until the investigation is complete. Kroger is also already facing a lawsuit from last year's deadly shooting at its Jeffersontown location. And 2 people are recovering after an accidental shooting Wednesday night in Whitley County. Police say they were called to Savoy Road after one homeowner was shot in his leg. When police got there, they realized his wife, who is legally blind, had shot him thinking he was trying to break in. She had also shot herself in the hand as well.
We're just grateful that Michael and Betty both were not injured any worse than they were.
Both Michael and Betty Reynolds are recovering and are in stable condition. And there is a new trial date in Perry County murder case. The trial of James McIntosh will now be heard in Breathitt County. He's accused of shooting Danny Mullins multiple times earlier this year. Failure to seat a jury resulted in a mistrial last month in Perry County. The trial is now set for November 18th. Defense attorneys say they do not plan to ask for a continuancy. And a woman is facing charges after deputies say she left a 7-year-old with a convicted sex offender. Deputies in Knox County arrested Whitney Lawson on 2 warrants last week. The next day, deputies learned the child was with Michael Campbell, who is a sex offender. Lawson is charged with child endangerment. Campbell is charged with not complying with the sex offender registry. And a new arraignment date for a Clay County mother charged in the hot water challenge. Angela Guth was set to enter a plea earlier this week. However, that is pushed back until December 2nd. Police say she did nothing to help a boy severely burned after her son poured hot water on him. A grand jury indicted her on child abuse and wanton endangerment charges. And a former Kentucky accountant accused of paying for sex with young women who were addicted to drugs faces federal conspiracy charges. The Herald Leader reports 49-year-old Mark Mislagle was charged Monday in federal court with conspiracy to distribute drugs and conspiring to engage in sex trafficking. Prosecutors allege that 72-year-old Logan Ray Towery provided drugs to young women, then passed them on to Mislagle for sex. Towery also faces charges, and one victim told police she was 17 when she first met Towery. And a man broke into a home armed with a hammer on Monday, terrifying the people inside. One of them was able to subdue the man with a gun. As WYMT's Phil Pendleton tells us, the suspect claims he was trying to get help, but court records show he served prison time for a previous home invasion.
It was 6:30 Monday morning when police received a call that a homeowner had captured an intruder, and they were holding the man at gunpoint.
There's a lot going through my mind because it could have been a lot worse.
She didn't want her face on camera, but said her brother-in-law came over and helped hold the man until police arrived.
And I'm surprised that the subject hadn't been shot, to be honest with you.
The victim said she was sitting at her kitchen table when she heard what sounded like a gunshot. Then a man broke his way through her living room window. She said he stood in front of her with the hammer drawn back. But oddly enough, he claimed he was the one scared to death. Police say that he's 24-year-old Jacob Cole.
And I just screamed, and from that point, he just threw himself down on the floor and said, "I'm not going to hurt you, ma'am. I just need help."
And Cole is no stranger to this kind of crime. He was convicted in 2017 and had just been released from parole from a home invasion that happened in Jessamine County in 2014. In Lincoln County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The Lincoln County Sheriff said they are not sure on a motive, but said Cole told them he had been under the influence of meth. And late Wednesday night in Clay County, a local church went up in flames. While volunteer fire departments were able to contain the fire at Panko Community Church, the inside was severely damaged. Pastor Jerry Rice said he believes the fire started due to electrical problems in the ceiling.
Our hope is in Jesus. It's not in this building. That's not the church. The people are the church.
Pastor Rice says they plan to continue having church services in another building right next door. Well, in China, the state government announced regulations aimed to curb gaming addiction among children, including a gaming curfew and time limits.
It's the talk of the mountains right now. Snow or no snow early next week. We'll talk about that upcoming system in about 3 minutes.